معارك هول بيقتلوا.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, and these are the news trending today. The cabinet will meet this afternoon amid a wide gap over the issue of military and security appointments and the security situation on the outskirts of Arsal. Progressive Socialist Party leader MP Walid Jumblat calls for an end to the various crises crippling Lebanon's political life and calls for a solution to be reached on the security appointments and the presidential vacuum. And spy agencies can no longer collect Americans' phone records and other data after Senate fails to extend their authority. The cabinet will meet this afternoon amid a wide gap over the issue of military and security appointments. Meanwhile, Education Minister Ilyas Boussab said differences over handling the security situation on the outskirts of the northeastern town of Arsal have been narrowed. He suggested that this sensitive topic would again be postponed to a cabinet session on Thursday, a day before the term of Internal Security Forces Chief Major General Ibrahim Basbous expires. And Parliament Speaker Nabih Berri has pledged to defend the government over fears it will collapse due to differences between the rival March 8 and 14 alliances on a military solution on the outskirts of Arsal and the appointment of top security and military officials. Speaking to his visitors in Ain Atine, Berri said the army is responsible for the security in Arsal and has launched its measures in some of its neighborhoods. Referring to militants based on Arsal's outskirts, Berri said it is the right of the state, the army, the people and the resistance to liberate any occupied inch of Lebanese territories, and reiterated his support for the resistance in any occupied place. Progressive Socialist Party leader MP Walid Jumblat has called for an end to the various crises that have been crippling Lebanon's political and daily life, demanding that a solution be reached on security appointments and the vacuum in the presidency. Regarding the presidential vacuum, the MP stressed it is time to end futile squabbles over this issue. He added all sides must resort to a settlement in order to agree on a compromise candidate to end the crisis, which will consequently restore authority to the constitution and state institutions. Papal envoy to Lebanon, former Foreign Minister Monsignor Dominique Mamberti, has stressed that the Vatican is deeply concerned over the crisis gripping Lebanon. Following talks with Foreign Minister Gibran Bassil at Bustos Palace, Mamberti said, "We hope dialogue resolves the current situation and maintains the stability of institutions." The Vatican's dispatched envoy described Lebanon as a model in a difficult world conquered by violence and reiterated the importance of maintaining coexistence. Mamberti said he was in Lebanon to convey the Pope's solidarity with the Lebanese and to highlight the importance of electing a new head of state to safeguard Maronites and Christians. Maronite Patriarch Shadarahi will travel to Damascus in June to attend the inauguration ceremony of the new headquarters of the Roman Orthodox Patriarchate. The ceremony will be attended by high-ranking Syrian officials, as well as a number of Christian and Muslim Syrian businessmen. Health Minister Wael Abu Fahoud has pledged $16 million to support ill-equipped state-run hospitals in Lebanon. He said the ministry will also increase its coverage of patient bills at state-owned hospitals from 85% to 90%, explaining this will improve the conditions of the hospitals. He assured that work is being done to ensure that salaries are paid by direct transfer into each individual public hospital employee's bank account in order to avoid delayed payments. Staff at the government-run Rafiq Hariri University Hospital in Beirut and the Sidon Government Hospital have held repeated strikes and protests in recent months over salary delays. Billionaire Joseph Getty ties the knot with Lebanese jewelry designer Sabine Ghanem. That's coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. At least 8 civilians were killed and 20 wounded in explosions sparked by Saudi-led airstrikes on rebel arms depot around the Yemeni capital Sana'a. The strikes on the Mount Nokum base on the eastern outskirts of Sana'a reportedly sent munitions and shrapnel flying into an adjacent residential neighborhood. A previous coalition air raid on the Mount Nokum base on May the 12th sparked similar secondary explosions that killed at least 69 civilians and wounded 250. The legal authority for U.S. spy agencies' collection of Americans' phone records and other data has expired after the U.S. Senate failed to pass legislation extending the powers. The Senate voted on Sunday to move ahead with reform legislation that will replace the bulk phone records programs revealed 2 years ago by Edward Snowden, the former National Security Agency contractor. The vote came after an exhaustive debate pitting Americans' distrust of intrusive government against fears of violent attacks. It was a victory for Democratic President Barack Obama, who had pushed hard for Congress to advance the reform measure, calling it a compromise that addressed privacy concerns while preserving a program his administration describes as important to protect the country from attack. The final Senate passage was delayed until at least Tuesday morning by objections from Senator Rand Paul, a libertarian Republican presidential hopeful who has fulminated against the NSA program as illegal and unconstitutional.
We just take it up and pass it. Opponents of this bipartisan common sense legislation have run out of excuses. I say it's a manufactured crisis, and it is. This matter should have been taken up and voted on, up or down, a month ago. And there's only one viable and responsible path remaining. Pass the USA Freedom Act that passed overwhelmingly in the House of Representatives, pass it and send it to the President's desk, and he will sign it. If we don't pass it, then those parts of the Patriot Act that most of us agree on are going to expire at midnight. And the irony of it is, the USA Freedom Act of 2015 is a carefully crafted bipartisan compromise that both protects Americans' privacy but also keeps this country safe. Before they talk about we're going to keep the country safe, but American privacy not so much. This is a bill that does both. The legislation would end the NSA bulk collection of Americans' phone records. It has significant new reforms that would limit government surveillance, increase transparency, but also promote greater accountability and oversight, something the Patriot Act did not have.
Let us be clear. We are here tonight because the President continues to conduct an illegal program. We are not collecting the information of spies. We are not collecting the information of terrorists. We are collecting all American citizens' records all of the time. This is what we fought the revolution over. Now people say, well, they're not looking at it. They're not listening to it. It's the tip of the iceberg what we're talking about here. And realize that they were dishonest about the program until we caught them. They kept saying over and over again, we're not doing this, we're not collecting your records, and they were. The head of the intelligence agency lied to the American people, and he still works here. We should be upset. We should be marching in the streets and saying, he's got to go. People say, how will we protect ourselves without these programs? What about using the Constitution? What about using judicial warrants? The Sonarif boy, the Boston bomber, they say, how will we look at his phone records? Get a warrant. Put his name on it.
Bad weather between Japan and Hawaii has forced the solar-powered aircraft Solar Impulse 2 to abort its flight and return to Nagoya. The plane set off from China on Saturday but had been in a holding pattern off Japan's east coast while flight controllers analyzed weather data along its planned route to Hawaii. Here are a few words from the pilot.
To reach Hawaii has closed, the weather window. The front is too dangerous to cross, and we have decided to land in Nagoya and wait until the weather conditions are better in order to continue. This is the goal, huh? We're not daredevils, we're explorers. So we have to put the safety on top of all the priorities, and this is why we have made already all these type of trainings. The team is absolutely prepared for every diversion, every problem, negotiations with other countries. Well, life is like this, and especially adventure is like this. No, we are not going on a holiday trip. We're going on a trip that is completely at the limit for everything, really at the limit for everything. And what has been done until now is already really successful. Now we have a delay. Let's accept the delay. Everybody will rest because I tell you it has been 2 days of really hectic work. And then we continue to Hawaii.
Billionaire heir Joseph Getty has tied the knot with his girlfriend Sabine Ghanem, but eyebrows were raised by some of the outfits worn by guests and even the bride herself. The Lebanese Egyptian bride who married Mr. Getty in Rome donned a gown boasting a long trail carried by 2 assistants and even had a hood. Sabine Ghanem is a young London-based fine jewelry designer who draws her inspiration from a rich mix of Eastern and Western cultures, which reflect the world in which she grew up in, spending time in Beirut, Lebanon, and Geneva, Switzerland, where her story begins before moving to New York City, where she studied diamond grading and jewelry design. Relic, the debut collection by Sabine G, launched in September 2012, has received much international buzz with renowned stockists, including Bergdorf Goodman, New York, Maxfield, LA, Montaigne Market, Paris, and both Browns and Matches in London buying the collection. Take a look.
I grew up in Switzerland, then I lived in Lebanon. I am Lebanese, my mom is from Egypt. I've lived in America, in LA, in New York, in Paris, in London. And so I think that even without trying, it shows. My first collection is medieval inspired, but a lot of people come to me and say that it looks Middle Eastern, Arabesque. So I guess it just sort of transpired in my work and I'm very, very happy about it. My jewelry is very much inspired by the past and even women in the past, even sort of eras. So it's very much a generation-inspired jewelry. I really hope that it's the kind of pieces that can, you know, be kept throughout generations. I use an atelier in Florence. It's a father and his 2 sons, and they do incredible, incredible work. Very fine jewelry, and there's a very strong focus on the weight of every piece. I like it to feel very luxurious and rich, and it's the same sort of idea for the stones. I go for very good quality, quite big in size as well. My favorite piece is the first piece that I ever designed, and it's a piece that you have on matchesfashion.com, and it's the big earrings. I really love them because Catherine Deneuve has them. So it's like, I love her, I adore her. So I guess that's definitely my favorite piece.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our top stories. The Cabinet will meet this afternoon amid a wide gap over the issue of military and security appointments and the security situation on the outskirts of Arsal. Progressive Socialist Party leader MP Walid Jumblat calls for an end to the various crises crippling Lebanon's political life and calls for a solution to be reached on security appointments and the presidential vacuum. And spy agencies can no longer collect Americans' phone records and other data after Senate fails to extend their authority. Those are your Monday headlines from us here at Future Television. I'm Lynn Samim, and I wish you all a very nice evening.
مش عارف هل هو